here. All right. So the first thing on our agenda today is introductions and roll call. I'm going to start with our committee members, but then afterward we can go around the room to everyone else, and we'll meet anyone who's new in person and online. So I'm going to go down my list for committee members, and if I say your name, just tell me if you're here. Shelly Entrikin.
Here.
Barb Long. Doug Manick. Audra Miles.
Here.
Joe Coffin. Craig Boynton.
Here.
Hannah Fuchs. David Luters. Mary Patton.
Here.
Shamra Robinson.
Here.
Tracy Dowell.
Here.
J. Thomas Howes. Vivian Hageman. Max Schneider. Tyler Rogers. Sean Griffin. Don Harper. Jody Scott.
Here.
Angel Marinich.
Here.
Renee Razzo. Chris Mitchell.
Here.
Don Rulis and Greg Cassidy.
Here.
All right. All right, so not quite a quorum in person. But, sorry?
Dave Luters.
Dave Luters, welcome. I've never seen you in person before, so I'm glad to see you. We're one step closer, but still not quite. Not quite, but that is fine. All right. So now that we have our committee members, let's do some quick introductions, go around the room, and then online I will prompt you guys in just a second. So we'll start in person. We'll start over here.
I'll take a break.
All right. I guess we will. Let's do everyone because we do have some new folks here.
Okay, I'm Joe Coffin. I'm from KCCDD in Galesburg. We serve.
City of Galesburg, public transportation. We have fixed route bus system and paratransit for Galesburg and Knox County.
Jared Arthur, transportation coordinator for Snyder Village and Metamora.
Say your name one more time.
Jared Arthur.
Jared Arthur.
I'm Adriana Tadzinski, lifestyle director at Metamora on Snyder Village. City Link and I'm assistant director of operations.
Audra Miles, Fulton County, PCOM.
Gabriel Guevara, Tri-County Regional Planning Commission.
Rima Abiakar, Tri-County Planning Commission.
I'm Rebecca Vince. I work with Best Buddies in Illinois.
I'm Heather Boucher. I work at Best Buddies in Illinois.
Jody Scott from Advocates for Access in Peoria Heights.
Tri-County Regional Planning Commission.
Kylie Rathman, Express Employment Professionals.
Rick Cassidy, Pleasant County Resource Center. Dave Luters.
All right, welcome everyone in person. All right, let's go online and I will call on you just in the order that I see you. So how about Marie at Ivy Sill? And I see you've got someone with you as well. We can't hear you. It looks like you're unmuted, but we can't hear you. If needed, you can type in the chat and I can say it for everybody. No, we still can't. We see that you're talking. All right, yeah, okay, why don't you type it out, and in the meantime, I'll move to the next person I see. So we have Lonnie from Stonehays Sill. Could you introduce yourself and what your organization does? Looks like you're muted. All right, we will come back to that one. Oh, let's see, we got Tracy Dowell. You want to say a quick hello?
Hi.
Okay, welcome. And Mary Patton.
Hey. Oh,
I'm with AARP, and we deal with senior issues that also affect many people.
All right, welcome. So it looks like Marie Argubright from Ivy Sill and Jessica Ortega as well from Ivy Sill. That's the Illinois Valley Center for Independent Living. Welcome. Come on in. All right, we got Shelley. Want to say a quick greeting?
Hi, this is Shelley Intrican, and I'm with Fulton County Rural Transit and also Fulton County Rehab Center.
All right, and Angel Marinich.
Hi, I'm Angel Marinich. I'm with City Lift and County Link, provided by Transitive. And we provide private transit service for Peoria and the Peoria County area.
Can we turn up the volume? Okay, moving on to Chris McLaurin.
That is impressive. Most people don't get my name right, and you nailed it on the first time. I'm Chris McLaurin. I'm from Central Illinois Friends. I am the Transportation and Facilities Manager. If you haven't heard of Friends, we are a free and confidential sexual health clinic right here in downtown Peoria.
All right, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I see that Lonnie Baker from Stonehays Center for Independent Living is here as well from Galesburg. And we've got 3 callers. I know one of them is Chris Mitchell.
Hello. I live in the community. I'm a social worker, and I'm retired. So I enjoy these meetings because it brings good people together. And I ride city lift mostly, and I'm interested in issues that affect pedestrians.
All right. And can we have one of the other callers introduce themselves?
Yeah, Jim Bremner here, Washington Township Supervisor. I'm the local in Washington coordinator for the disability transit provided through City Lift and Trans Development.
Excellent. And I think we have just one more person online.
Tyler Rogers with IWC in Eureka. We provide services to adults with disabilities.
All right, welcome, Tyler. Okay, and we had one more person join us. Can you quickly introduce yourself?
I'm Melissa Orwell. I'm with IDOT.
All right, welcome. Thanks for coming. I'm going to jot your name down. All right, made it through introductions. Thank you, everyone, for your patience there. Okay, does anyone have any public comment? All right, moving on to the minutes. So because of the Open Meetings Act, we don't have a quorum in person. We need a quorum in person, so we can't approve them today. However, I did find out, I'm always learning something new with the Open Meetings Act. So in terms of the law, we don't have to officially approve every single set of minutes. I thought we did, but we only have to approve the ones from meetings that have had a quorum. So moving forward, I like to propose that once we get kind of a buildup, so we've got 3 here making the packet really large, I think I'm going to cap it off at 2, just so we don't have to schlep around a large packet of papers. And we will always have them on our website, so you can always look back at them online, but I just won't print them out. So is everyone all right with that? Any other comments there? All right, great. Less papers are generally better for me. Okay, so does anyone have any comments on any of these meetings, the minutes? All right, moving past those. And the next agenda item is to approve the bylaw changes. We can't do that today, and I introduced this the last meeting as well. It's the last 4 pages of the packet. I did highlight the changes because I printed them in black and white and the red did not show up at all. So you can easily see the changes. I won't go through this really in depth just because we can't adopt them, but you're free to read them. Essentially, all of the changes reflect the Open Meetings Act. So even if we don't pass them today, anything in the old minutes that is technically against that law will just revert to the Open Meetings Act. So it's not that we were doing anything wrong. I just wanted to document the updates there. So any comments there? All right. Okay. And now I will hand it over to Rekka Impens with Best Buddies. I do have a document you sent. Okay. And then I can bring it up whenever.
Okay. So hi, I'm Rebecca, or Becca, whichever you prefer to call me, I will answer to. So I have a printout of some of the information that I'm going to go over, but our printer is running out of ink. And so I did send over digital version to Rima, so that will be up online for you to look at. I don't know if you want to just take one and pass one. I guess, here, should we split them real quick so I can send one this way, send some this way too. I apologize for the missing ink. First of all, if you are not familiar with Best Buddies, we're an international organization that works with people with intellectual and developmental disabilities in various ways. So we really focus on empowerment through friendship, leadership, integrated employment, and then some of our states have an inclusive living setup as well. Illinois does not, but we do have the friendship, leadership, and integrated employment programming. So this is my colleague, Heather. She works with our employment program. She's the lead employment consultant for Central Illinois, specifically in Peoria County, right? Or well, now you're in Tazewell as well. Ever growing, which is always exciting. And so today I just wanted to kind of talk to you guys a little bit about something that I'm very passionate about that I think often gets overlooked, which is digital accessibility. So as you look at this, this is all like Best Buddies based. These are our colors, but it was easy to give this as an example. And I'm actually probably going to start on page 2 if you want to flip that over. And talk about like font accessibility. So especially as we're doing more and more online and on social media and creating documents and whatnot to give to specifically for us, our participants with disabilities, we want to make sure that they're able to access them and read them. So with font accessibility, your best bet is always to go sans serif. So you can see on there that the serifs are the little like at the end of the letters. And when you do away with those, it just makes the letters more clear to read. So if anybody has any type of visual impairment, those serifs can just cause a little bit of blurring and those letters to run together. I didn't include it on here, but I do have a graphic that also talks about having the letters like evenly spaced. Some fonts, a lot of them are more like the cutesy ones. They kind of mesh them together, and some of them have different spacing, and that as well can lead to some blurring. So you want the sans serif with the normal spacing. And then the terminals are kind of just as you can see, like with these two fonts specifically, rounded versus square terminals. And again, this just leads to clarity of having kind of that like sharp edge of having square terminals. The only, and this kind of gets covered in another part as well, but Comic Sans is one of the most accessible fonts that there is. Nobody really knows why, because it doesn't really fit into, it doesn't have serifs, but it has rounded terminals. The letters kind of blur together a little bit, but oftentimes like websites that will allow you to change the font to make a website more readable, it typically will go into Comic Sans or something like that. So a lot of like designers, like graphic designers and whatnot, don't like Comic Sans because it looks very childish or whatnot, but it's very accessible. So feel free to use it and have some fun with it. And then I have just some examples for Canva versus Microsoft. I don't know if any of you make any of your graphics or if you do anything like that. I use Canva a lot. That's typically my go-to. So we use these three that kind of replicate Arial, Calibri, and then you can see under the Microsoft of like the Franklin Gothic Comic Sans. This isn't an exhaustive list. As you scroll through, I typically will type a few letters so I can just see if it has the right spacing, if some of them do anything wonky with their G's or their Q's or anything with a tail, that kind of thing. But so a lot of it is just kind of keeping an eye out for it. All of this stuff is ever changing as we learn more and more, as technology continues to advance. So this is just kind of a starting point of where we are right now. And then if you are using social media, I run our social media account, so this is something that I look at an awful lot. And then with our friendship programs in our schools, they are typically student-led. And so each high school or college, they will have like an Instagram account, and we want to make sure that their social media is accessible as well. So the easiest way is if you're using Instagram, specifically stories, that you are using one of the options that says accessible. So I think that's the first, sixth, and eighth option are the most accessible. And then you'll see that all of those are sans serif. And then anything that has the serifs or even cursive, I almost always say, like, just don't use cursive. That's just like pretty easy to just eliminate. And then italics as well can get a little bit wonky because that kind of messes with the spacing of letters. But then you can see the sixth option that has the star. That's the one that like replicates Comic Sans, that goes against all of the rules, but is still accessible. So these are just some ways for you to look at it. And then I'll cover this when we flip it over to the other side as well. But if you're typing on your stories, it gives you the option to put like a background color behind your font or behind your text. This is for contrast. So we'll talk about color contrast in just a minute, but typically if you're going to use black or white text, you want the opposite of the color behind it. It just helps it stand out, makes it more accessible. When we work with our students, a lot of what I say is that, like, I know it's not cutesy. A lot of accessibility stuff is not pretty, which when you are thinking in design, I think a lot of times we're like, but what is cute? What looks nice? And almost always it means that it's not accessible. And one of the things that we like to tell our students is that, like, unfortunately, if it's not accessible, then we are not allowing access to our participants. It doesn't matter if it's cute if somebody can't read it. So that's kind of the go-to that we use. And so I have found that design and accessibility do not go together at all. So if any of you do design work for your job or you're making graphics, please know that I feel you. It is not easy. I think I spend most of my time trying to figure out how to make our social media and our graphics accessible, just because it's very difficult. Our colors, a lot of colors just like don't work together as well. And anytime that you're wanting to use something other than black and white, it is a challenge. But so we were ever learning. I look at graphics that I made even last year and I'm like, Rebecca, what are you doing here? So I just always kind of say, like, if you can eliminate cursive, you've already done half of it and you're already making huge strides. Just some other social media accessibility things that I wanted to include is using alt text. So if you are your social media person or you use it even in personal life, you can add alt text. This is what the screen readers are going to read. So anybody who uses a screen reader or has an accessibility feature turned on, it's automatically going to read this. If you do not, you don't see it. So when I'm scrolling through Instagram, I don't see alt text. And so that is also only 160 characters. So that's going to be your shorter, quick overview or brief overview of the photo or the video, whereas image descriptions you're going to put in your captions. And so you have whatever the caption limit is for whatever platform you're using. And you can go in a little bit more depth and detail in those image descriptions or video descriptions. And anybody will be able to access that, which I think is also nice too. If you're like, what am I looking at? The image description will tell you. And then camel case, if you are using hashtags at all, that is just making sure that the first letter of every new word in a hashtag is capitalized. And I think this is kind of one of those things where you hear that, like, accessibility is good for everybody. Everybody benefits from accessibility. Hashtags are impossible to read. It's just letters mashed together. And so using camel case just makes those a little bit more clear. So then if we flip back over, again, these are Best Buddies colors and our color codes. This is what we provide our students, but I just feel like it kind of gives you an idea of what's happening here. So I was trying to read a little bit more about contrast because none of it actually makes sense to me. I just use the checker and go from there. But it runs it through about 6 different tests, I suppose, and they each have different standards. And on this website, the webaim.org that is linked, there is a resource that really goes into the fine details of luminescence. Apparently, they use luminescence and they don't actually use the term contrast or like colors. They focus on the luminescence. I'm not actually a graphic designer. I went to school for social work, so I'm going to go ahead and stick with color contrast because I think that's what most people are going to know. And that website, I just have it favorited and I check every single color code on there. You put in the background and then the color code that's going to go on top of it, and it will tell you if it passes or not. And so you can see with our colors specifically of that, like the first 4 are more pastel colors, and they're lighter and they're cute and they're fun and they're great for all of our like high school and college students, but they're terribly inaccessible. So no white font can pass on any of those. And then those colors in turn also do not pass on a white background. And I feel like when you look at like the minus signs with those light colors, you can really tell that if that's in a PowerPoint or if that's on a graphic, like that's not easy to view anyway. And especially if one of our participants or anybody in the community is trying to view something and they have a visual disability, they're probably not going to be able to access that. And we have eliminated a space for them to come into. So that's why I'm very passionate about it. And then same with, like, you can see that the black does pass on our lighter colors and not on our darker colors, and vice versa. So this is something that you can take into account if maybe you're not the social media person or you're not a graphics person, but you make PowerPoints, or you're going to lead a meeting and you have a graphic in there. That again, accessibility really works for everybody in everybody's favor. We just recently had a training and somebody had put like a phone number in our, like, this shows up very light blue. It's like almost more turquoisey, the third color in, and the phone number was in that color. And we were in an auditorium and they had to have the number read out loud multiple times. And I like leaned over to one of my coworkers and I was like, if that wasn't an accessible color, we wouldn't have to read it out loud. But so it benefits everybody to make sure that everybody can access it and read it. So I don't know if I have like a time. I feel like I flew through that. I'm a very fast talker. I apologize. But those are just some kind of basics. I will say though that this WebAIM, use it for everything. Absolutely everything. If you can run your colors through that before putting it on a PowerPoint, before putting it on a graphic, or you're making a sign that's going to go somewhere that's not super big, run your colors through it. It takes about 12 seconds and it automatically will go up. And then once you're on that website, they do have some like other websites that they tell you that you can use to pull the colors off of your graphics, or maybe you don't know the color codes of your logos. There is a website, I don't remember off the top of my head, it's like, I think it's Wave, that it will pull the colors for you. If you're a Canva person, anytime that somebody like makes a graphic and they're like, hey, can you check this? I pop it into Canva and I use just like the little like eyedropper to get the color, and it tells me the code and I pop that in. So again, I don't know what work looks like for each of you. This is kind of something that I always tell my coworkers across the country. I have a very big office and a very big team. They are very talented and they take care of a lot of other things. And so I really have the time to be able to put into making sure that our stuff is accessible. And I know that not everybody has that time to be able to do it. So I typically say, again, if you just eliminate using cursive, you've already made a huge difference. And then moving forward, if you're kind of just thinking about it and you're using darker colors on a lighter background, and you're looking at it, you're like, is this accessible? Like, even looking at this, I'm like, the white on those colors just are so difficult to read. If that was actually like words, there's no way I'd be able to do it without my glasses on, and maybe even then once they are there. But so I think just like the thought makes a very big difference in accessibility. And then as you kind of start putting it into practice, more people are going to be impacted by that. I hear a lot from people that they're very thankful for how accessible our social media is, even if they don't need it. It takes me like an extra 5 minutes to make image descriptions Or like we caption all of our videos as well. I didn't include video captioning, but if anybody wants to talk about that, happy to give you the apps that I use. There's a lot of online like free ones that will just like leave the like the watermark. I pay for it so that it doesn't have a watermark, but there are lots of free options. So I'd be happy to talk to anybody about that as well. But that's really all that I've got on digital accessibility. I will say real quick, I learned this today when I was putting this together, that the guidelines for color contrast with logos are different. I'm not sure why. I think that goes in with like graphic design type things. But so your logos can be different. And on that WebAIM, so if you go to this WebAIM website, on the side, under like the part where you put in the color codes, on the side, it has a list of other resources that you can click. Sorry, one of my former students just walked by. One of those resources goes into more of the details of for people who do graphic design. And it talks a little bit more about like the sizing and the ratios of like the 4:1 ratio, which I don't know for you, but 4:1 ratio means absolutely nothing to me. It has to do with that luminescence. And that when you put the color codes in, it tells you if it passes or it fails, and that's good enough for me. And it will tell you if sometimes it will pass if it's in a smaller font, or it will fail in a smaller font and pass in a bigger. So it'll tell you to just up the size or to make it bold, and that typically can fix some of it as well. But I'm starting to just ramble, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. If anybody else wants to talk about digital accessibility, I could really go for hours. So feel free to strike up a conversation. I'd love to answer questions if you want to email me or anything like that. I can make sure that you all get my email and we can chat about that more.
Warning though, that once you start this and you make it a best practice, you can't undo it in your brain. That's all you see. We do it all the time. We're like, that's inaccessible. That's inaccessible. You just can't help yourself because you're so used to doing it now.
Yes. You see it everywhere. Like I'll be like out in public, and even my husband now will be like, that's inaccessible, isn't it? And I was like, it is. Oh my gosh, good job. But yes, fair warning.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. This was brand new information to me when I learned it from Becca like last year, I think. Yeah. So I wanted to make it available to all of you. And I can definitely make your email available as well. We probably have time for a question or two if anybody has them right now.
I do.
Go ahead.
So the website, you told us the colors. You can see if the colors are accessible. Is there a website that you can upload like a whole document to see if the whole thing is accessible?
So not that I have found. Okay. They're on WebAIM. They do have it where you can put in like a website and it will tell you if the website is accessible or the web page. When I've tried to do a PDF, it doesn't work.
Okay, so like we can put a flyer on anyways.
No, I will say that like I think if you use Adobe, there's a way on Adobe that it will tell you. A lot of that I feel like completely goes over my head. Like I would rather it just say like no, than like all of the really detailed information that it gives. But so Adobe can help a little bit, but I have yet to find just a document screen.
Then
Okay.
I'll just kind of add to that. If you started out in Word before making it Adobe, Word does have an accessibility checker in the newer versions that you can access, and then you can do that and then create the Adobe from there and go from there as well.
Thank you. I don't use Word a whole lot, but now because of that, I might be using it more. Thank you.
With Adobe, I think you have to have the full version too in order to do the checker.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
All right, you're free to stay or go at your leisure.
I'm just going to sit back and listen.
All right.
That's okay.
Yes. Next, we are going to our folks online. Oh, good. I see that there has been chat conversations that have been resolved. Thank you. All right. Oh, let's see. So let's just Let's just go around the room one more time. If anybody has updates that they're wanting to share with the group, could be related to transportation, or anything that we've talked about today or have yet to talk about. So I'll leave it very open with the general guidance of transportation. So we'll start over here. All right.
We're currently looking for a transit shop foreman and part-time fixed route and paratransit drivers, as well as part-time dispatchers in Galesburg. We did recently complete a RFP for transit study for Knox County. So we are waiting for IDOT to give their blessing on that for the approval so we can move forward with our transit study that'll further expand us out into the county. And then I'm working on an RFP right now for dispatch software, which I'm really looking forward to so I can get rid of some Excel spreadsheets that we're utilizing right now.
So Audrey Barrett, she officially hired Jared Arthur. Just a week and a half. Review. Went through our 5310 review. Last time we were here, he said that we were looking for someone to work on lifts, and we were successful in finding someone. So we're using dependable tone that really does a lot of accessible. They have like the licenses to do all of the accessible things as well. Dependable tone.
Where are they located?
In Peoria.
Okay.
Oh yeah, he has their number if you want it. So.
Okay. What do they do exactly?
So I mean, they do like we're specifically taking a vehicle there to get like looked at and fixed. They'll do they've got like licenses to do anything sort of accessible.
They're located 2006 South Griswold in Peoria, and then I have their number.
Sounds good. Go down to Shamrock.
So I've got something for you. So we are going to be having a job fair tomorrow at CityLink. We have a new HR director. We're excited that she's there, Paige, and she's pretty much got all the management team together to try to put on this event. And then also, not only will we be interviewing for fixed route buses, but then Angel, she'll be a part of the event too on the City Lift side and County Link. So if you know anybody that's interested in a job, then definitely send them our way. So the event will be tomorrow from 9 to 4, and it's going to be at our administrative building on Jefferson.
Are you open to agency?
That would be a question you'd have to talk with our HR director about. She's new, yeah. Chat with them to get somebody new.
All right, thanks. Audrey, do you have anything? Yeah. I guess we'll go on.
I work with the Consolidated Vehicle Procurement Department at IDOT, and I'm not sure we've done an update on that recently, but we are currently out for bid with different vehicle manufacturers. So once we get those bids in, we anticipate to start receiving those within the next couple months. We'll have a better idea on what vehicle awards we can give for all the applicants from the last application cycle. So we're hoping in the next 2 months we'll be able to kind of start sending out notices for what vehicles we're able to award the agencies.
Sounds good, thank you. Talk about with transportation. Moving on to Jody.
I'm Jody Scott from Advocates for Access, and I guess we had a statewide meeting at the Statewide Independent Living Council, and they're trying to gather concerns that users have with the transportation statewide. So we have forms that we fill out, and they just did a digital version of it. So if you know anybody that has any concerns, that's a user of the service, please have them call either us or one of the other centers for independent living as well, depending on what area they're
over to Kylie.
Hi, Kylie from Express Employment Professionals. I am still having a continued problem with my qualified associates who are more than qualified to do jobs that are outside of the region. I just find it so unbelievably unfair that because of their living situation, where they're located in the city limits, and the fact that they don't have a vehicle, the fact that they are more than qualified for these jobs that I can get them. They just have the hurdle of getting to these jobs. I did work with Shamra briefly, was it last year, trying to work on bus routes. Is there any update on any of the bus routes?
We did have a conversation with City of Pekin because of ICC. They wanted to do some collaboration because they have that building that's over in the area close by the prison.
Okay.
So I think we're still kind of in discussion. It's been a little quiet.
We actually have clients within that route, so that would help out a lot.
I'm going to circle back and touch base and just see what's going on because I haven't heard anything recently, but we did have a meeting about it.
I love that. Okay, that's something. I was given last year a list of, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but they're like prorated or discounted fares and rates. I did collaborate with a cab company, but now even their rates have even gone up to just anybody. Even with our charge account that we had with them with our discount, it's just unbelievable. I had a lady that lived on the south end of Peoria on the county side who needed to get to the Peoria Civic Center. And I called all those free agencies or all those agencies that I had gotten a list for to help get this lady to work downtown, and they still were charging $20 one way. So that's $40 a day to get her from the south end to the downtown Peoria. I'm sorry, I just find that utterly ridiculous because she had to be there at 10:30 at night. I mean, there was no bus route, there was nothing for her. I'm open to hearing whatever anybody has. Because again, I have clients within a 30-mile radius of Peoria Heights. That's including but not limited to Mapleton, Pekin, Washington, Morton, Metamora, Chillicothe, Dunlap, and we even have, not clients, but we have people that live in Galesburg that are looking for work. We have people living in Canton looking for work. We service with our region with Express. We have Expresses all over. However, some of our Expresses only cater to office and professional. Some cater only to, but we actually do both. So people are just falling out of line to where they need to be in order to get the services that they need. And I can't stress this enough as to how passionate I am to trying to get good people that want to work. That's the key, that want to work to these jobs. So I'm open to anything that anybody could help me with.
Well, I think that work has to be done with the employers as well, because one of the reasons I had to stop working in 2013, even part-time, was because the employer insisted on paying me for any time I was on the facility or its grounds. And I wasn't asking for that, but they didn't want me waiting for a ride. And in order to be on time to work, if you are early, that meant you couldn't wait on the grounds either. And so that is a deterrent. This is Chris Mitchell, and I don't even know if I'm talking to someone I really have met before. It is a huge problem because at one point in my career, I heard that the Supreme Court had ruled that getting to work was considered a personal problem, and the employer did not have to support the person's difficulties with transportation. So that needs to be checked out. But you know, I wasn't looking for any extra money, but that would be a real deterrent to a disabled person who is trying to get to work as a first-time worker as well. And it seems like an endless hard circle. I don't understand the laws that were affecting this 10 years ago, and I haven't checked to see if they've changed personally, but I do know that that is part of the issue. And I would see other people being able to come in and wait, but because I had asked for accommodation, they were really pressuring me not to wait. And so it was a very confusing story.
I actually have looked into and have had conversations with my franchise owner regarding why don't we just buy a little minibus or a minivan and hire a temp as a driver. The thing with that is, if you would look at our show up ratio for interviews, it's the ones that are able to go to work because they have transportation that are the ones that are showing up to the interviews. I am scheduled myself. I have to do math. That's not my strong part. About 20 to 25 interviews a week, and I'll be lucky if 5 of them show up for their interview. And of those 5 that show up for their interview, they're not qualified for the job that they're actually wanting. And I will ask them, what are you qualified to do? What do you want to do? And then I try, and then I'll market them. Don't think that I'll just sit there and, but I'll market them. Now the hurdle then becomes, okay, I market them, but the job that I market them to is out of limits. So as employers, I understand that State Farm, I believe, in Bloomington used to bring have a bus come here and haul them to Bloomington just for State Farm. So I do know that employers have done some things to try and help with the transportation, especially somebody as big as State Farm that has associates and employees from all over.
It's a company called Peoria All Access. I'm not sure if you've heard of them, but they just started their own business, and they have a van that goes to Rivian every day.
Right.
But I actually personally know one of the owners for it, and he said that's why they started the business, was to get people to and from work who didn't have that. I passed it out to some of the schools for students that are graduating that are looking for rides to work. He did quote me for one student. It was from North Pekin to Martinville. It was $10 each way. But I mean, I've researched a lot of transportation.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was that bad, but
I've been going at this for a year now. I've just been trying so hard to get these people to work, the ones that want to work. I mean, one of our clients is in Mapleton, Illinois. Well, the bus routes don't go to Bartonville, and Mapleton's just on the other side of Bartonville. I mean, I know you could put a bicycle on the front of a bus, but if it doesn't even get you close, I mean, I don't even, now that I'm thinking about it, I think even from Bartonville to Mapleton's even quite a hike. Yeah, another 10 miles. So, I mean, I'm at a loss. I'm just really looking for those solutions to try and help people get to work.
So you're doing good work, even though it's, I'm sure, very frustrating.
I'm trying.
I think your statistic.
Yes, go ahead, Chris.
I think I've heard other people who do hiring say similar statistics for the number of interviews, finding that people didn't pass background checks or didn't pass drug tests, that they would interview and come down to only 1 or 2, and whether they would show up for the orientation and training was an open question. So I think there's a lot of people out there sharing your angst. But thank you for trying. That is very, very meaningful to me as a person, that you're trying to get people to work.
Absolutely. That's my number one goal. But we've even spoken with clients and asked them regarding the drug testing, you know, depending on the job that the client's looking for, eliminating the THC, because a lot of people smoke THC in Illinois. So we did even get that alleviated with a lot of our clients. Now, if it's like a CNC machine operator or anything that they could get hurt, still they test for, but a lot of the menial jobs we've eliminated, just to get more of a pool in. But then when they come in for the interview and they're smelling like weed, that's a problem as well. So I've got a lot of hurdles, but right now I just want to get people to work.
Okay, we're gonna keep moving on. I will say, in case we go over time, if anyone has to leave at 1, feel free to go. I'll try and cap it around then, but that's not a problem. So we'll move on to Greg Cassidy.
We got our 5310 review. As you said, painless. So,
Thanks. All right, Dave, you have anything? All right, and that's a good lead into Tracy Dowell. Do you have anything for MSW projects?
Well, evidently last time I jinxed myself when I said we were all set for our drivers. We have 2 that are going to be leaving us in the next month, so we'll be once again putting out for a driver. Other than that, everything's going quite good. I had mentioned, I think last time, that we had 2 of the nursing homes no longer have transportation. We've also had St. Margaret's Hospital close along with its medical facilities. So that has impacted us in that we usually had more transports like to Spring Valley. Now we're having more transports to Ottawa and Pontiac, as that's where they've kind of moved to for St. Margaret's, which was bought out by OSF. So that's kind of puts a little bit of a kink in our transportation too, just that it takes a little bit longer to get there. So it might impact how many rides we're able to do in a day. So that's something that, you know, we're still working on. Things are still changing in that environment. So we'll try to get these people to where they need to go. Other than that, that's it.
I have a question. For anybody that's looking for drivers, is there any kind of special licensing that they need to have, like a CDL, A, B, or C?
Here at City Loop and County Link here in Peoria, they do not need a CDL, just a regular commercial driver's license. 5 years of driving experience, no moving violations from the past 2 years, and they need to be drug free.
CDL is required for 14 passenger.
CDL what?
Required if it's over
A, B,
14.
or C? For anybody that's looking for drivers, I have a resource pool full of drivers. So if anybody's open to agency, please reach out.
This is Angel with City Lift and County Link. I would, if you could give your information to Shamrock forward to me, I would really appreciate it, because we are absolutely desperately looking for more drivers.
Do you still have my information? Yes, Shamrock has it. Perfect.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, since we've got you on the line, Angel, do you have any updates for City Lift and County Link?
The only updates, we're continuing to work on our on-time performance.
Sorry, if you could please talk a little louder. We've had some audio issues today. We'll hopefully have it fixed next time.
Okay, let me get closer to my screen here. We are as I just mentioned, we are currently recruiting for drivers. We also need a utility worker and a few dispatchers. We have a couple individuals that are actually, dare I say, graduating to City Link. So I'm really proud of them, because they worked really hard to get their CDLs. But we do not require CDLs, so we're a good starting point. Plus, we are having increased customer service reviews, which is great here. other than that, like I said, just working on our on-time performance, getting enough people to be able to provide the service that the community deserves, and any assistance anyone can provide to send people our way, we would appreciate it. And if there's anything we can do to help others, we would be happy to do so as well.
All right, thanks, Angel. How about Tyler Rogers? Are you still on the line? Do you have any updates?
No updates at this time.
All right, let's go to Mary Patton with AARP.
Okay. We did get money for adult day services transportation in the budget this year. And right now we're still working on the intervening in the Illinois Commerce Commission cases for Ameren and People's Gas that want to ask for more rate increases. For the last 10 years, they have had automatic rate increases built in. And now they are asking for more. And we AARP asked for specific hearings in our local communities. Ameren, we had one in Decatur a week ago, and we had one in Chicago for People's Gas just last Tuesday, I think. These are above and beyond those that the Illinois Commerce Commission has. Usually their hearings are up in Chicago or Springfield. So if you're concerned about your public utilities, your gas and electricity in the Ameren area, you need to speak up, and maybe I'll be able to get a website for you. But it's going to affect everybody, not just homeowners. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mary. How about Chris Mitchell? Have updates to share?
Well, two things. I've been traveling back and forth to Macomb, and after one of those last very significant windstorms, I saw a lot of damage, and I'm sure it affected transportation in the rural areas, and it made me wonder how we can be of more help, because it's a urban and rural area. I saw one barn that had actually blown across the road into a field, and there were power the traffic lights were out from the power shortages. So I hope it's improved, but that was hard. And there was a driver named Crystal that came and got me and took me to PT, and happened to be the person that came back and got me. And actually, in the interim, 2 city lift vehicles had gone down, one for overheating and one for mechanical difficulty. And she still had such a positive attitude. And you know, it was like 4 hours later because of delays, but I just was very impressed with that. And Shanice, who is someone who does training, I took a wheelchair because I can't sit in restaurant chairs, guaranteed. And she taught me how to use the wheelchair on the lift on the spot. And I thought that was pretty awesome because it was the first time for both of us. And it helps that the dispatchers say, well, this person has to go out to Peoria production before they can get to you. It doesn't put anything personal on the driver. It just gives the person waiting the real-time information. I know, I wish I had the computer skills to not have to call, but it seems like such an improvement, and it really improves how people feel on the bus. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chris.
I appreciate you saying that.
Excellent.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, Angel just appreciated your comment. So thanks.
Thanks.
All right, so let's move to Jim Bremner from Washington Township. Are you still on?
I am, and can you hear me okay?
If you speak just a hair louder in the room, there's a AC system. It's not helping
Sure.
us out right now.
All right. Well, I'm traveling and it's kind of loud at my end, and so forgive me for that. But I'll go ahead and let you know that our ridership has been steady. 1 month we had a drop, but it came back stronger than past months. We're averaging about 150 rides a month, and I'd really like to see it to grow to 2 or 3 times that. So we're going to discuss some ways that we might be able to get the word out better than we are now. I mean, we've got the word out. We've got websites of the township and the city, and we're on the Chamber of Commerce website. We're in the quarterly magazine that the Park District puts out for programs, but we need to find some other advertising avenues or ways to get the word out. Direct mail is way too expensive for us. We don't have budgets for that, but we're going to be brainstorming. We've got a brainstorm session set up with CityLink next Wednesday. And so we're going to get together and see what we can come up with to support this, because past census numbers have shown that in the city of Washington, there are 1,350 people with disabilities. It does not show how serious those disabilities are, but with a count that high, which is almost 10% of the community, you'd think we would have more ridership. So we're going to see what we can do to get that number up. That's all I really had to say.
All right, I appreciate that. How about Chris from Central Illinois Friends? Do you have anything you want to share with us?
No, I actually don't. Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks for being here. And last person I see, so Marie said she has no updates. Lonnie, do you have anything to share? And you can type it out if needed. No updates. All right. I think we've made it to the end of our agenda item number 6. So just a couple, maybe 5 minutes left. So I'm going to do my coordinator report. So I'll start with we, Tri-County, attended the ADA WOW Celebration and Resource Fair hosted by the Greater Peoria Mass Transit. And it was very positive. We had a table, we had some exercises, activities for people to do related to our active transportation plan that's focusing on walking, biking, and public transit in the area. So we are working on that. We had a little short survey and a map that people can show where they travel to in our Tri-County region. Let's see. Oh, yeah, and I had a note here. If you have anything similar to that, if you're doing some sort of fair, we could consider going if you feel that we could help you out. So I know that we are based in Peoria, but our HSTP region is much larger, so I'm definitely open to that. All right. So as a couple people said, thank goodness AC is on. As a couple people said, I did conduct some 5310 reviews. If you don't know what that is, then it doesn't apply to you. And they went very well. I do still need a follow-up, so thanks for your patience, everyone who is related to that. But that's on me, so you don't have to do anything in the meantime. That sounds good. All right, and some committee members' positions are shifting. I had some folks say that they'd like to drop off or switch around a little bit, so thanks for your patience there as we kind of build up our list. It might look a little bit different in coming months, but I'm talking to all those people. And finally, we just literally decided about an hour before this meeting. So we have Section 5310 funds, and what that is, it's through the Federal Transit Administration. They have what they call apportionments, so essentially a pot of money available to regions with over 250,000 people, 200,000 people. So that applies to the Peoria area. And so we can get that money if we are able to program it out. The way that we do that is we put a call for projects, and anyone can apply in the Peoria region, the urbanized area. If it's a public agency, So that can be a nonprofit or like a city or a county. And I believe there is an asterisk there. So even though private companies are not eligible, if you can provide what could be public transportation, there is a potential option. So if you know of anyone who might fall into that category, that could be an option as well. There we go. So this year, and we have not released it yet, but we plan to hopefully this month, if possible, even next week. I'm not going to hold myself to that just in case it doesn't happen. But there's $329,798 available. I will email this out, so you won't just hear it from me now. And it provides 50% operating funds. So Jim Bremner from Washington Township was able to fund extension, work with Greater Peoria Mass Transit District to extend their service into City of Washington using this money. They did have to pay 50% of it, but they could have needed to pay 100. So that could help there. The City of East Peoria and the City of Peoria have used this to construct pathways leading to or on a bus stop. So that's the other option. You could do construction as well. So more to come with that, but I wanted to announce that right now. And I think that's all I had. So I'm gonna, well, does anyone have questions? Go ahead.
I have something to add real quick regarding wheelchair lift repair. There's a place here in Peoria, Personal Mobility. I don't know if you're aware of it, but they do excellent work. And Chad usually is able to get whatever it is done within an hour one way. We have an easy chair, TV, a bar. No, not a bar, but it's a nice place. They're good people.
Right. So you said Personal Mobility.
Personal Mobility. Don't have an address or phone number.
Yeah, I can look them up and send that to everyone.
They're in the Pioneer Parkway area. I think they used to be on Hale Street. I could be wrong.
All right, we'll look them up. Thank you. All right, so moving on to other, I have one thing to add and then I'll open up to anyone else. So the next meeting date would normally be October 3rd. That's the first Tuesday of the next even numbered month. I will be out at a conference that day, and actually the week after that I might be out of state. So normally I would push it down 1 week, and that would be the 17th, but that might not work for me. So do we want to, we have some options. We could have someone else share the meeting. I'm okay with that, if they're willing. And we could do it on October 3rd. Or we could move it up a week. So the week before that is September, let me see. Week before October. Yes, September 26th is an option. Or we could do it a couple weeks after. That'll be October 24th. I might also send us in an email to see what works best. So not ideal, we're straying far from our normal meeting date, but, and our other option is we could cancel the meeting if we feel we don't have things to talk about. But does anyone have any initial thoughts about what we like to do there?
Did you say,
Wait, sorry, Mary. Go ahead, Chris.
did you say October 26th? That's a Thursday.
Let me see. So it'll either be September 26th or October 24th.
Oh.
As potential options. And those are both just sticking with the Tuesdays. How short are we on quorum?
I think I'd probably just send out an email to pull people on which week they can make it, so you'd have a quorum for a meeting in person.
Okay. We had, let me see. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See, I wish I could count everyone online. We would actually have a quorum. But in person, we had 8 people and we need 11. So we're always very close. And we do have a couple new folks that I'm trying to get in the pipeline, so maybe. But I think the best way is a poll. So I'll follow up with an email.
So maybe a poll and then add that in the notes too, in the email, that how many.
Okay. Yeah. And I know it's a struggle because our region is so large. So some folks have to drive 45 minutes, and some people also wear two hats. So I'm sympathetic to that, but that's just the nature of this committee. All right, so that's something to think about for next time. And then that's all I had. So one last call. Is there anything else that anyone wants to add? All right. Well,
This is Angel from City Link. I'm sorry, this is Angel from City Link. Just a reminder that if anyone is looking for a job, I hate to, beat on the horse, but we would love to have any and all available people who would like to drive, dispatch, or do utility work, clean drug tests, of course, and background check, and just have customer service in your heart. So that's what we're looking for. So anyone knows anyone, please feel free to send them our way. We're all hiring.
All right, sounds good. Okay, thank you everyone for coming. We'll adjourn at 1:09 p.m. Free to go. If you need a parking pass, let me know and I will give you one.
I need a parking pass.
And I've got.
You need my card again?
I will send it to you. Okay. And if
I missed some of the conversation. Yeah, she told me to have you give her my information.
Oh, okay. I can send an email or if you want me to give her a business card, I will. Both. Okay.
I'm gonna cover all my bases.
Yeah, and I'm having him write down his information and let you, unless you want me to.
It's good seeing you again.
Either way.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I'll see if you.
Yeah, hold on. Let me. Lima. Or can we do the interview here, or do we have to go back to the office?
We could do it here if you wanted, but I might be a little bit.
No, it's just what was it, me and Rima? I'm gonna ask you a couple questions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's not gonna be too bad.
Just do my first and last name.
But,
I don't remember those lab and everything.
they're on the table.
This is cool. I got my boss's phone number on this. I was like,
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, I get you. So we've been expanding into Tasman County, and I know in the past I've seen, like when I worked there,
And that first, so this coupon, when it says scan to get my coupon, first one you got.
Thank you.
For coming.
Yeah. I mean, you can just call the straight We Care number, or they can talk to Troy or Darren. Darren Howitt's the director, the assistant director, and Troy is the director. So shoot me an email and I'll get you in touch.
Okay, perfect.